Hello, comrades and friends. On behalf of the All India Kisan Sabha, I extend revolutionary greetings to all our viewers, and I thank the Comrade Mark's Facebook page for having organized this talk on the legacy of the Kisan movement and the way forward. Today we have chosen a very good day to have this talk. Today of August. The 3rd of August happens to be the birth and death anniversaries of two very major Kisan leaders in our country. Comrade Shamrao Parulekar, who was an office bearer of the All India Kisan Sabha, the founder of the Maharashtra State Kisan Sabha, and the leader along with Comrade Godavari Parulekar of the historic Warli Adivasi revolt in Thane district of Maharashtra. Today is his death anniversary day. He died in jail on the 3rd of August 1965. Today is also the birth anniversary of the former national president of the All India Kisan Sabha, Comrade Krantisimha Nana Patil, who, as you know, had a very, very illustrious history. For 3.5 years, from 1943 to 1946, he led the parallel government in Satara against the British rulers. For 3.5 years, the British rule did not exist from 1943 to 46 in Satara district, and therefore in 1955, he then later became the president of the All India Kisan Sabha. So therefore, these are the two very leading comrades, Kisan comrades, whose birth and death anniversary we are observing today. Just 2 days ago, we observed the death anniversary of one of our outstanding Kisan leaders, and that is Comrade Harkishan Singh Surjit, who was also the former president of the All India Kisan Sabha and one of the towering leaders of the anti-betterment levy struggle in Punjab in the post-independence period. Now, today, these three leaders form a trio which is a part of the glorious legacy of the Kisan movement in India. The Kisan movement has had a very, very long history in India. In fact, if you go to see, then it is very clear that all the revolts against the British rule that took place in the 18th and the 19th century were all led by the peasantry. And by peasantry, I mean both farmers and agricultural workers, both of which are a very integral part of the peasantry of India. Then you have the formation of the All India Kisan Sabha in 1936. The Kisan Sabha was formed with two major immediate objectives. Number one, overthrow of British rule and independence for India. And number two, it was a struggle against feudalism, against landlordism. And this was the second very important thing to which the All India Kisan Sabha devoted itself. All of us are aware of the unprecedented struggles that took place in the late 40s and the early 50s, led by the All India Kisan Sabha. The most massive one, of course, was the Telangana People's Armed Struggle. Apart from that were the Tebaga struggle in West Bengal, the Punnapra Vailar, Kayyur and North Malabar struggles in Kerala, the Ganamukti Parishad tribal struggle in Tripura, Surma Valley struggle in Assam, then the Warli Adivasi struggle in Maharashtra. And all these struggles actually created, all of them were directed against feudalism, against landlordism, and many of them had a very, very big impact on those states and on the country as a whole. Now, our legendary leaders of these struggles, all of us know their names: Comrade P. Sundaraiah, Comrade A.K. Gopalan, Comrade E.M.S. Nambudripad, Comrade Hare Krishna Konar. These are all the leaders, Comrade Dasharath Dev, and then of course Comrade Shamrao Parulekar and Comrade Godavari Parudekar. So this is the very big legacy of very major, massive struggles in which there were thousands of martyrs. Thousands of Kisans were martyred in firing by the British government, by the Congress government after independence. So this was the legacy of the Kisan movement that we are observing today. Coming to recent times, because time is a constraint, coming to recent times, we have had in the last 5 years several major struggles led independently and jointly by the All India Kisan Sabha. Firstly, we have the series of Delhi rallies on various important issues like loan waiver, MSP at the Swaminathan Commission rates at 1.5 times the cost of production, and other such issues. These have been led independently by the All India Kisan Sabha and also jointly by two very major platforms in which the All India Kisan Sabha is a very important constituent. One is the All India Kisan Sangharsh Coordination Committee, AIKSCC, and the second is what is called the Bhumi Adhikar Andolan. Both these are platforms. The first platform has more than 200 peasant organizations. The second platform has more than 150 peasant organizations, agricultural workers organizations also. So on behalf of all these, there have been all India struggles in which lakhs of farmers and agricultural workers have taken part. There have been very important statewide struggles. I will mention only two in the last 4 or 5 years. First, of course, are the very important struggles in Rajasthan, led independently by the All India Kisan Sabha on issues like loan waiver, electricity rate, irrigation. These are the issues that were fought and won by the Kisan Sabha in Rajasthan. Along with that are the very important struggles that also took place in my own state, Maharashtra. There was an 11-day farmers' strike in the month of June 2017, where farmers stopped getting all their produce to the market for 11 days at a stretch from the 1st to the 11th of June. And as a result of this strike, it was a joint strike, all the major Kisan organizations, including the AIKS, took part in it. The BJP government, which was not prepared to talk, it had to concede 34,000 crore rupees as a loan waiver to the farmers of Maharashtra. Out of this, 21,000 crores has already been given to the farmers. So this was a very historic 11-day strike of farmers in Maharashtra in June 2017. Then, as all of you know, we had the historic Kisan Long March by 40 to 50,000 farmers for 7 days from Nasik to Mumbai in the month of March 2018. This was on various issues, a carry forward, taking ahead the whole loan waiver issue, MSP issue, but one major issue on which this long march, that was a tribal issue of the implementation of the Forest Rights Act. And that is why these were the 3 or 4 major issues on which the Kisan Long March was organized by the Maharashtra State Kisan Sabha. The BJP government had to bend, it had to concede most of the demands of the Kisan Long March. Some were implemented, some have yet to be implemented, and for which this struggle is on. Now the current government, the state government, because this loan waiver issue was carried forward in India Kisan Sabha, it has now unveiled another loan waiver package over and above the 21,000 crores which the earlier BJP government was forced to give. And this is also now being implemented in various parts of Maharashtra today. Comrades, today now we'll come to the next point, the way forward. This way forward, I think, is a very important issue for all of us. The very serious situation of the peasantry in India. It was never so serious as it is now. All of you, most of you will be aware, after the neoliberal policies began in 1991, there has been 4 lakh farmers' suicides in India from the year 1995 to currently 2020. 4 lakh farmers have taken their lives because they have been in debt. Symptom of the present agrarian crisis is lakhs of small children have died due to hunger and malnutrition in various parts of our country. The major parts are of course centered in the tribal areas where there have been lakhs of children who are dying every day over the last several years, and this is also a result of the agrarian crisis. So these are the 2 symptoms which I have told you about. On behalf of the All India Kisan Sabha, a few years ago, we took out this thing with the All India Kisan Sabha and the All India Agricultural Workers Union. Together took out a document which is called the Alternative Agricultural Policy. There we said that post-independence India has had 2 stages as far as the agricultural scene is concerned. The first stage from 1947 to 1991 was the state-sponsored stage of capitalist development in our country, as so far as agriculture is concerned. And the second stage began from 1991 and continues for the last 30 years up to now, and that is the neoliberal stage of capitalist development. Now, there is no time to explain all the details. Let us just come to the second stage. The first stage, only one point I would like to mention. In spite of all the assurances given by the then Congress government, land reforms were given the go-by by the central government and by most of the state governments in our country. I would like to pay tribute to the left and left democratic front governments in our country. Kerala, started by Comrade E.M.S. Namboodiripad as Chief Minister in 1957. West Bengal from 1977 onwards. Tripura from 1978 onwards. Very far-reaching land reforms were carried out only by these 3 left-led governments in our country. And lakhs of acres of land was distributed free to lakhs of agricultural workers and poor peasants in these 3 states. Unfortunately, nowhere else in the country we find that such land reforms were the order of the day. And therefore, at the same time, there were certain things being done by the central and most state governments in favor of farmers. That was a legacy of the freedom struggle. But all that changed in 1991 with the neoliberal policies which every single central government and most of the state governments in our country have been carrying out for the last 30 years at a stretch. And this is the main reason why these farmer suicides and the malnutrition related deaths of children have been burgeoning day after day, year after year during the last 30 years of Indian agriculture. Friends, I would like to just mention that now today, on top of all this has been added the corona crisis, the corona pandemic. And we have all seen the sheer bankruptcy and the utter heartlessness of the policies of the BJP-led Narendra Modi government over the last 4 months. When the lockdown began, we had 546 corona cases in India and only 10 deaths on the 24th of March 2020. The Prime Minister went on TV and said, just as the Mahabharat war was won in 18 days, in this 21-day lockdown, we are going to win the war against corona. Today, what is the situation, my friends? Today, India has crossed 17.5 lakh cases of corona. We have crossed over 37,000 deaths due to corona. Today in the world, we are third in the entire world. Number 1 is America, number 2 is Brazil, number 3 is our own country, India, which is a matter of very great sadness. It's a matter of very great shame also. Here I would like to congratulate and very heartily greet the Left Democratic Front of Kerala, Government of Kerala, led by our Chief Minister, Comrade Pinarayi Vijayan, because it is only the LDF Government of Kerala and the people of Kerala who have shown the way to the entire country in two respects. Number 1, combating the corona pandemic in a very scientific manner, and number 2, at the same time, unveiling a package to help all sections of the people in Kerala who have been affected, their economic livelihood, their jobs, everything, their agriculture, all this has been affected. Actually, this has been affected all over the country. But the central governments and many of the state governments have not taken any initiative in trying to help the people and see that they get some succor in this terrible time. But the LDF Government of Kerala has done a marvelous, admirable job, which has been hailed by the World Health Organization and also by sections of the imperialist media all over the world. So this is something which I would definitely like to mention. Friends, now today, the way forward, what are the major issues on which we will have to concentrate in the days ahead? The Kisan Sabha legacy says, without struggles, nothing can be won by the peasantry. That is what all our leaders have taught us, from Comrade P. Sundaraiah to Comrade A.K. Gopalan to Comrade E.M.S. Nambudripad to Comrade Hare Krishna Konar. All these comrades, very, very important leaders, they have taught us without struggle, nothing is possible. And today the struggle all over India of the peasantry, which I again underline, farmers and agricultural workers, is centered on 7 major issues. Which are these 7 major issues? I will just enumerate them. There will be no time to try and give some details. I am just enumerating. Number 1, a one-time loan waiver for the entire peasantry and agricultural workers of India. If that is not done, the farmer suicides are not going to stop. And this is an absolutely clear matter. One-time loan waiver by the central government is a must, and this is not being thought of for the last 6 years. Peasantry and agricultural workers don't count, but during this lockdown, the Modi government has given a loan waiver, written off loans of 68,000 crore rupees to a few corporate cronies of his, which include those who have fleeced our banks and have now run away to England after leaving our country. People like Nirav Modi, Mehul Choksi and Vijay Mallya. So this is the situation. Number 1, loan waiver. Second thing, only a loan waiver will not be enough. There has to be an implementation of the Swaminathan Commission recommendation. Many of them are extremely good, but the cardinal one is that giving all farmers and all crops MSP, that is minimum support price, which is 1.5 times the cost of production. It is called, the formula is called C2 plus 50%. This has not at all been forthcoming. Over the last 6 years, they just made a assurance in the manifesto. Mr. Modi said in more than 400 speeches in the 2014 election, 2019 election, nothing of the sort has happened. The third point is very important for agricultural workers, a massive expansion of the Manrega, that is the Mahatma Gandhi National Rural Employment Guarantee Scheme. This is the need of the hour, especially because of the COVID pandemic. We have seen all the migrant workers, lakhs of them, marching for more than hundreds of kilometers, some of them thousands of kilometers in the summer months of April and May. All of us have felt for them. Pregnant women, small children, old people, all of them have been going, and after they have gone to their villages, they find themselves without any job. Unemployment only in the last 4 months has climbed to over 50 crores. Those who had jobs today have no jobs. Now for this, Manrega is the need of the hour. Tremendous kind of funding for Manrega is the need of the hour. But regarding this, the central government has done nothing at all. Increasing their wages is also the need of the hour. The fourth point is a proper crop insurance scheme to help farmers in distress. We are aware in Assam and Bihar, there are tremendous floods going on just as we are having this Facebook Live. There is no help forthcoming from both the central government and the state government. Drought, floods, hailstorms, these are the things that require a comprehensive crop insurance scheme for the entire country. Mr. Narendra Modi's crop insurance scheme, Prime Minister and his name, it helps not farmers, it is helping only the corporate lobby, the insurance lobby. The fifth issue is irrigation and power. Both of this is being privatized. Irrigation and power, they are becoming extremely costly. We are seeing the Modi government increasing the prices of diesel and petrol when the international oil prices have fallen by 60% in the last 6 years. So irrigation and power, this is a very important thing. The sixth point which I would like to flag is these 3 ordinances which the Modi government has removed in June. These are extremely dangerous. The amendments to the Essential Commodities Act, the attempt to throw away the agricultural price market committees into the dustbin and making the market open to all the corporates, also opening the thing to contract farming. These are all important ordinances which are extremely dangerous for the country, for the peasantry, and for food security in our country. The seventh point and the last point is connected with the working class of India. We believe very much in the worker-peasant alliance. That is the bulwark of the struggle that we want to wage. And here also we find there have been tremendous attacks on the working class, especially during the COVID lockdown. More than 13 states in our country have reversed an 8-hour working, have increased it to 12 hours. Imagine, every May Day, the whole history of May Day is about an 8-hour working day. And today, many of these governments, state governments, have increased the work day from 8 hours to 12 hours. The central government is bent on changing the labor laws in favor of the corporates, in favor of the owners, and against the working class. So these are all the issues. There are many others, but there is no time. These are the 7 issues on which we will have to launch a very, very major struggle in the days ahead. Comrades and friends, only 2-3 more points are remaining. Number 1, these are all the immediate points, but a very fundamental issue that the peasant movement will have to face in the coming days, and that is the whole question of land. I already mentioned land reforms were never implemented in large parts of India, but today they are being actually reversed. And today what is happening? Today it is the corporate lobby which is trying maximum, including the multinationals, to try and grab land of the peasantry. On various methods, laws are being changed. land reform legislation is being diluted further. All these matters are happening, and therefore a very, very major danger before the peasantry today is to preserve their land, to protect their land from these corporate extremely this thing, and which the government is helping at every turn. The tribals in the entire tribal belt, the whole mining, etc., tribal land is being taken. The Forest Rights Act is being diluted, and therefore land, which is a central issue, it always was, it is remaining today, but this also we will have to take up. The peasant movement has to take up the land issue in large parts of the country, especially, of course, except the left states where land reforms have been instituted. But in Bengal and Tripura, under the BJP and TMC governments, there also attacks are happening on the land reform legislation that was enacted by the left-run government. Today, comrades, one important last point, and this point is, while all these are very major issues, no doubt, today the most important threat to India lies in the BJP and RSS Modi government's attacks on democracy, attacks on secularism, attacks on federalism, in short, attacks on the Constitution of India. And I think this is a very, very major danger, a very major threat to all the people of India, not just to the peasantry, not just to the working class, not just to students, youth and women, but to the entire citizenry of India. We have seen how democratic rights were totally finished in Jammu and Kashmir 1 year ago. We see the attacks on journalists. We see people have been just clapped into jail. The Bhima Koregaon accused, Jawaharlal Nehru University accused, Jamia Millia University accused. They have all been thrown into jail. And this is danger to democracy, danger to secularism, and danger to the rights of states, that is federalism. This is another very important aspect that I would like to draw your attention towards. The very last point I would like to say, how are we going to go about it? How are we going to go about it immediately? On the 9th of August, all the mass organizations have given a massive call. 9th August, all of us are aware, is the Quit India Day. On the 8th of August, the father of our country, Mahatma Gandhi, had given a call to the British to quit India. On the 9th of August, the agitation began all over India, and the tricolor was unfurled at the August Kranti Maidan in Mumbai by a lady. Her name was Aruna Asaf Ali, who was the Communist Party. So therefore, 9th August is a very historic day in the freedom struggle of India. 9th August 2020, all CITU, All India Kisan Sabha, All India Agricultural Workers Union, All India Democratic Women's Association, DYFI, SFI, all of them have decided to have massive demonstrations all over India against these heartless and bankrupt policies of the Narendra Modi government led by the BJP. This is not just our agitation. I mentioned the All India Kisan Sangharsh Coordination Committee. 200 farmer organizations have decided to join this 9th August struggle. The Bhumi Adhikar Andolan, more than 150 organizations, they have decided to join the 9th August struggle. All the central trade unions, minus of course the RSS union Bharatiya Mazdoor Sangh, they will never join, but all the other central trade unions have agreed to join the 9th August struggle. So this will be a historic struggle. Ever since the lockdown began, all of us have been struggling in our various ways, but this 9th August will be a historic and unprecedented struggle in this country. We are sure that lakhs of workers, farmers, agricultural workers, women, youth and students, Dalits, Adivasis, minority, majorities also, everybody will join on the 9th of August and really show the Modi government that the country is rising against your authoritarian, communal, anti-people, pro-corporate and pro-imperialist rule. This is the issue and this is the immediate call that I would like to give before all of you. Today, making that successful is part of the legacy of carrying forward this glorious legacy of the Kisan movement in India. It is a fitting tribute to Comrade Harkishan Singh Surjit, whose death anniversary we observed 2 days ago. It is a fitting anniversary to Comrade Shamrao Parulekar and Kranti Singh Comrade Nana Patil, whose death and birth anniversaries we are observing today on the 3rd of August. With these words, I extend my revolutionary greetings and red salute to all of you. Thank you very much, comrades and friends.